Today's inquest into the death of Jay Slater took a dramatic turn as key witnesses Lucy Law, Brad Hargreaves and Ayub Qassim finally gave evidence. In this video, I'll be taking you through exactly what they revealed about the final hours of Jay Slater's life. We'll also hear information on two men who currently remain untraceable by the police, Stephen "Rocky" Rockass and Brandon Hodgson. Take a listen to the following. One of the two men who rented the Airbnb, Ayub Qassim, is due to give evidence via video link from a foreign country. The other man, Stephen Rockass, has not been located. The coroner said, "He is doing this of his own volition. As he is abroad, I cannot compel him to give evidence." The coroner says Lucy Law, one of Jay's friends who was with him in Tenerife, is giving evidence via video link, quote, because of the condition that she is in. Bradley Hargreaves is now giving evidence. Brad says that after he, Jay and Lucy Law arrived in Tenerife, he and Jay put their bags in the apartment and then went out. They were drinking until 5 a.m. They met Brandon Hodgson, who had been friends with the other two men, Ayub Qassim and Stephen Rockass, known as Rocky, for some time. Brad says they all got on with Ayub and Rocky. "We went to sleep and the following day we went for some breakfast," Brad says. They went to the music festival later that day, which was due to start at 10 p.m. that night. The coroner asks Brad what they did at the festival. He replies, "Drinking and dancing, like you would do at a rave festival." After spending the night at the rave, Brad and Jay went back to their apartment at Palomar Beach and went to sleep in their clothes, because we were really drunk, Brad says. The following day we had a pool party thing at the hotel, and then that same day we had a do again that night, Brad says. Brad is asked how Jay behaved on the holiday and how much he drank. Brad replies, "Well, it was our first holiday as a boys' holiday, so we might have took it a bit too far." Brad says that on June 16th, the day before Jay went missing, the group went out for drinks at about 6 p.m. and then met with Brandon and Lucy to go to the music festival. He said, "We were together all evening until we got to the festival, then we split up because it was so busy." Then Brandon says, "Jay has been kicked out. I've gone out to try and get him back in, but they wouldn't let him back in." Inside the club, Jay was so drunk he couldn't stand up, but when the group met up outside, he was in a better state, Brad says. He added, "He wasn't as bad as when we were inside. Inside, everyone is clamped together, and you get out." Brad says that Jay had taken ecstasy and cocaine on the night of June 16th. Brad says he had also taken ketamine on the holiday, but Brad isn't sure if he had taken it on that night. Brad says Jay would be a 6 on a scale of 1 to 10 of drunkenness. He describes Jay as giddy, adding, "We were both just having a laugh with each other." Brad says that Lucy came out of the club at about 3:25 a.m, and the group then went to a club called Sugar Reef. Ayub Qassim and Stephen Rockass weren't with the group in the festival, Brad tells the inquest. He adds, "They didn't come to the festivals, they were just always out on the strip." The court hears Jay sent a Snapchat to Brad in which he said he had taken a watch. Jay then sent another Snapchat to Brad in which he said he was going back to Ayub and Stephen's Airbnb and sleeping there. Although in an earlier statement Brad said he was worried about Jay, when asked about it in court today he says, "They were with us for 3 days, so I trusted them as much as Jay. I didn't think anything of it." Jay then called Brad on Snapchat again as he was walking down a road, the court hears. Jay told Brad, "I'm gonna come back." Brad tells the inquest, "At that point, I might have been feeling a bit worried. He said I'm gonna come back down, and he was asking if we had any drinks left at the apartment." The coroner now discusses the watch with Brad. It has been widely reported that Jay had admitted stealing a Rolex watch, but Brad says he didn't think anything of it. He tells the court, "I didn't think anything of it, because there are a lot of people selling fake stuff on the strip, loads of watches." In the video, Brad says Jay was wearing shorts and a t-shirt. Brad says that he told Jay to check maps on his phone to see how far it was to the Palomar Beach apartment. He says Jay told him it was 14 hours walk. Brad said, "I said, wow, why are you so far away? Get a taxi back." He said, "I'll ring you back." And that was the last time I spoke to Jay. Brad is now being asked about speculation that Jay had hidden 2 knives down his shorts. Brad says he knew nothing about this. The coroner asks, "You've known Jay a long time. Would him arming himself with 2 knives down his trousers be unusual?" "Yes," Brad replies. Brad says that nothing made him believe that Jay was distressed, feeling scared, worried or frightened. Brad is asked why Jay wanted to go back to the apartment after arriving at the Airbnb. He replies, because he wanted to carry on drinking. He's probably got to that apartment, Ayub and Rocky have gone to bed, and he has sobered up and wanted to carry on drinking. Brad is now being asked questions by Louis Norris, the barrister representing Jay's family. Brad confirms that it was Brandon Hodgson who had introduced the group to Ayub Qassim and Stephen Rocas. Brad says that Ayub's nickname was Johnny Vegas. Brad says that the last time he saw Jay in person was when he, Lucy and Brandon had gone to Magic Mike's for food. Brad had gone to find Jay and found him straight away. This is when Jay told Brad, "I'm going to stay with these," referring to Ayub and Rocky. Brad says that Jay told him that Ayub and Rocky would bring him back to the Palomar Beach apartment at 12 p.m. the next day. Brad says Jay had told him he was going up to Ayub and Rocky's house to sell a watch. Brad is asked why, if he was worried about Jay going to sell the watch, he didn't ask him more about it. "Because I was under the influence of drugs," Brad replies. The inquest hears this is the watch that Jay had stolen. Brad says that Jay had video called him while he was inside the Airbnb. "He showed me the bed they had made for him," he said. The court has heard that Brandon Hodgson, the friend who had introduced the group to Ayub and Rocky, has not been located in order to request he give evidence to the inquest. Brad confirms that the only thing he knows about the stolen watch is what Jay said in one Snapchat message. "That's why I thought Brandon should be here, because he knows a lot more about it than just the Snapchat," he adds. Next, we're going to hear from Ayub Qassim. Mr. Qassim begins by attempting to talk about the kids dying in Palestine. He said, "First and foremost, I want to send my condolences to Jay's family. I want people to also think about the kids that are dying." At this point, he was interrupted and told by the coroner, "You are not here to make political statements." Ayub explains that he arrived in Tenerife about 4 days before the start of the music festival. He says he met Jay and his friends a couple of days before the first night of the music festival on June 14th. Ayub is now talking about the events of Sunday, June 16th. He says that the group watched the England football match against Serbia in the Euros at Sugar Reef. This included Brandon, Lucy and Jay, and Rocky and me, Ayub says. The match ended at around 10 p.m. At around 2 a.m, Ayub left a bar called Ayub Base. Ayub says that Jay arrived outside Sugar Reef and was inhaling nitrous oxide gas from a balloon. At around 4 a.m, as Sugar Reef was closing, the group went to the Tramps Club. Ayub says they stayed there until 5 a.m, pushing 6 a.m. maybe. They then went to Magic Mike's. It's right next door to Tramps, Ayub says. Jay was on the buzz, Ayub says when asked about what his behaviour was like. Head bopping, chill, happy, Ayub adds. He was coherent. Ayub says he took Jay for a chicken burger. We all got food, he adds. Ayub is asked if Jay had any money on him. He says, "Vaguely, I might have heard him saying I've run out of dough, but I don't know 1,000,000%. I didn't check his pockets." Ayub is then asked why Jay ended up back at his Airbnb. He asked, Ayub says, "From further things I've heard, he must have thought we were going to stay up." He said, "Can I come with you guys?" Those were his exact words. Ayub says he told Jay, "Bearing in mind I live a bit far away, but I'll drop you off in the morning if you want." Ayub is now talking about the watch. He says that there was a Romanian looky guy who was selling fake watches. The man tried to sell a watch to Ayub and he said, "Nah, I don't want that. It's fake." Then he tried selling it to Jay, the court hears. Ayub is very clear on the next point. "One thing I can say is that Jay didn't steal no watch." Ayub says that he, Jay and Rocky then drove back to his Airbnb in Masca. They stopped on the way there while driving up the mountain road and got a couple of drinks from a shop. Jay bought a Coca-Cola. The court has just been played a 2-second Snapchat video which Jay sent to his friends from the back seat of a car. This was as Ayub, Rocky and Jay were making their way to the Airbnb. Jay captioned the video, "Just took a 12k rollie off some C with this Marley kid. Off to get 10 quid for it now, haha, off my undies." Ayub says that this Marley kid referred to himself. Ayub confirms he is of Somalian heritage. He says again, "One thing I am sure about is that Jay didn't steal a watch." Ayub is asked why Jay would be saying he had stolen a watch if he hadn't. Ayub says it could have been bravado. He adds, "When you're younger, you might exaggerate things, but 100% I didn't see a watch getting taken. Maybe he was just bigging himself up to his pals." The Inquest hears that in another Snapchat post, Jay writes the caption, "Yes, 'cause ended up getting thrown out of there with me 2 Marley kids. Just took an AP off some C on way to sell it for 10 quid. In an earlier message, Jay had claimed the watch had been a Rolex. AP refers to an expensive make of watch. The court has just been shown a picture taken by Ayub on his phone after he pulled up outside the Airbnb. In the photo, which shows Rocky fast asleep in the front passenger seat with his head at an almost 90-degree angle, Jay can be seen in the backseat smiling. Ayub also took a short video clip of Rocky asleep in the car. Both Ayub and Jay can be heard laughing in the background. Ayub is now describing the last time he saw Jay. He tells the Inquest, "He asked for a charger. I said go and get it in Rocky's room. He's gone in there and grabbed a charger from the side of his bed and stuck it in the kitchen. He started charging it in the kitchen. I ran upstairs and grabbed him a blanket. I went past the bathroom and grabbed him a towel as well. I said, 'That's you, innit?' He asked for a fag and I left my deck downstairs. I said goodnight and went upstairs." Ayub is talking about what happened when he went to bed. He said that he didn't go to sleep as soon as your head hits the pillow, but eventually fell asleep. He woke up to a buzzing sound coming from the door. Ayub explains that as he had parked his car in front of a small van blocking it in, he thought this was who would be at his door. "I only had an hour of sleep. I went downstairs and I saw Jay standing there," Ayub says. Ayub says he went to answer the door and a woman with 2 men, one of whom was holding a wheelbarrow, directed him to where he could park his car without blocking them in. "I walked over and apologised," he says. Jay was talking to the woman. Ayub is saying that Jay was probably still awake because he was still on things and buzzing. Those kind of things stop you from going to sleep unless you take a sleeping pill or smoke a bit of cannabis, he says. Ayub is asked what kind of state Jay was in when he went downstairs to move his car. Was he still under the influence? The coroner asks. "I think yeah, he would have been," Ayub replies. Ayub said Jay then told him he was going to catch a bus back to his apartment. Ayub says, "I said, no bus coming anytime soon. It's not one of those places where the bus comes every 5 to 10 minutes. Jay replied, "No, I spoke to that woman. She said the bus is coming in 10 minutes. I said, "No it don't, bro. Chill out, G. I'll drop you off later." Ayub tells the court he looked at Jay and saw that he was, quote, "sweet." "So it's like sound, innit?" Ayub said. "What could I have done? I'm not going to say, stay here now. I just said, if you need me, I'm here. I shut the door to go back upstairs to sleep." Ayub is being asked about his friendship with Brandon Hodgson. Ayub told police in a statement that he was friends with Brandon. In a statement to Spanish police, however, Brandon claimed he didn't know Ayub. "Which is true?" asks Louis Norris, the barrister representing Jay's family. "If you put both together and meet in the middle," Ayub responds, "you know, like, we're cool sort of thing. I've known his brother for a longer time." Ayub confirms Johnny Vegas' nickname. "I've got lots of nicknames," he adds. Ayub has now finished giving evidence. Lucy Law, Jay's friend who was with him in Tenerife, is now giving evidence via video link. Lucy explains she has known Jay for about 6 or 7 years, since the start of secondary school. Jay was the year above Lucy in school. Lucy is now disputing evidence from Brad. Brad said earlier that the group had landed in Tenerife at about 2 a.m, then dropped off their bags at the apartment before going to find a bar on the strip. "Is that your recollection?" the coroner asks Lucy. "No," she says. "My apartment wasn't ready until check-in time at 2 p.m. the following day. We got a taxi to Jay and Brad's apartment and I left my stuff there," Lucy adds. Then we all went to Brandon's apartment and stayed there. I have no recollection of going to the strip. I definitely didn't go to the strip that day. Lucy is now being asked about the events of Sunday, June 16th, the night before Jay disappeared on the morning of Monday, June 17th. She and Brandon had gone to a bar called Veronica's to watch the England match. Jay and Brad joined them for around 20 minutes and then left. The group met up again later on or around 12 midnight. Lucy is asked how drunk Jay was. He was visibly intoxicated, but I wouldn't say he was in a state or anything. He wasn't mangled, she replies. The group then headed back out to the NRG festival. At one point, Jay told Lucy he was going to the toilet, but when he hadn't returned after a while, she went to look for him. She says, "We all split up to try and find him in the place, but then none of us could find him in there, so at this point our phones were nearly dead, and he was still not answering his phone. We left to see if we could find him outside. We had a look on the strip. At this point I thought he's probably made mates with someone or has found a girl and ventured off." Lucy continues, "Then he messaged us and said, 'I'm in Oasis.' We couldn't see him. Then he messaged saying he was in Sugar Reef, which is 2 or 3 clubs up, but we couldn't see him there either." At 2:48 AM, Lucy messaged Jay saying, "I'll come and get you." A minute later, Jay sends back a message saying, "Doesn't matter, I'm on a mission." At 3:24 AM, Lucy sent Jay a voice note in which she said, "Where are you and what are you doing? I'm coming to get you. If you're not there this time, I'm going to be effing fuming." Lucy says this was because Jay kept saying he was at various bars, but then was nowhere to be found when they went to look for him. Lucy is asked why she was so worried about Jay. She says, "I've been to Tenerife a few times, and I wouldn't want any of my mates wandering around on their own, boy, girl, anybody." Lucy then found Jay while she and the others were ordering food at Magic Mike's, a takeaway close to the strip. She says, "I said to him, 'Where have you been?' and he was just laughing his head off." Lucy says that Jay seemed his usual self and didn't come across as frightened or scared or distressed. Lucy went to sleep but left her phone on just in case. Brandon Hodgson calls her and says, "Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, Jay is in the middle of nowhere and only has 1%. Initially, Lucy thought Brandon was joking, but then she could tell in his voice that he wasn't joking. Lucy then tries to call Jay. The call connects before it is then cut off when Jay's phone battery died. Lucy said to Jay, "Go back to wherever the F you've just come from before it gets boiling." On the call, which lasted just 2 minutes and 10 seconds, Jay told Lucy, "I'm in the middle of nowhere." Lucy asked Jay to try and describe what he could see, but Jay said, "There is literally nothing but mountains." This is when Lucy says she started panicking. She says, "He asked me if cactuses are poisonous, and I said, 'A cactus is the least of your problems. Go back to where you've just come from.'" During the call, Jay also told Lucy, "I can't go back there, I can't go back there." But Lucy says she didn't get a sense that something bad had happened at the Airbnb. "I also feel like if something had gone on in terms of conflict, I feel he probably would have said," she adds. Lucy is asked why she said to Jay, "Go back before it gets boiling." She explains, "Obviously it was June in Tenerife. At 8 AM it's not too hot, but as soon as it hits like 10 AM, it gets very hot. So I was thinking if he's saying he needs a drink, then he needs to go back, get a drink and charge his phone so he's in a better position." Lucy is being asked about the watch, which Jay told others he had stolen. Lucy confirms that she knew nothing about any watch on the night. Jay did not say anything to her about a watch at any point, and she did not see a Snapchat about a watch. Lucy adds, "The word over in Tenerife was that a watch had been stolen, but I thought it's just one of those things. I honestly don't know what to believe. There were so many theories being thrown around." The evidence of Lucy Law has concluded for today. Coroner's Officer Alice Swarbrick will now give evidence about her attempts to find the remaining outstanding witnesses, including Stephen Rockass and Brandon Hodgson. Louis Norris, the barrister representing Jay's family, has just said there was a message thread between the family and Brandon Hodgson, and quote, "It appeared he was unwilling to give evidence." Brandon Hodgson is understood to be in Tenerife. The coroner arranged for Lancashire police officers to serve a summons on Brandon at his home in Lancashire. They attempted to do so on several occasions. The coroner's officer called Brandon on several occasions and left voicemails, but never heard back. Brandon's mum, Natalie Hodgson, was hand-delivered a letter from the coroner by Lancashire Constabulary. This exchange was documented on body-worn footage, but neither she or her son Brandon made contact with the coroner's officer. The court is now hearing the statement Brandon gave to Spanish police via a video call following Jay's disappearance. Brandon told police that Jay called him when he was trying to walk home after leaving the Airbnb. Jay, quote, didn't seem frightened and was laughing and joking. Brandon added that he thought Jay was out of his mind. The coroner's officer is now explaining her attempts to locate the remaining outstanding witness, Stephen "Rocky" Rokas. The coroner's officer spoke to Stephen Rokas on the 17th of April, ahead of the initial inquest hearing. She explained she needed a statement from him and arranged to send him an email. After that point, Stephen Rokas has not responded to any attempts to contact him. These include several visits by Met police officers to 2 addresses in London where he had been registered, sending police officers to a business address, searching the police national computer, and searching voting records. As part of her efforts to locate Stephen Rokas, the coroner's officer discovered that he had appeared at East London Magistrates Court on April 3rd. He was also due to sign on at Stratford Police Station on April 27th, but had failed to do so. Efforts to locate Mr. Rokas have, since the date of the first inquest hearing on May 21st, been led by Lancashire Constabulary. The inquest is now being played a video Jay filmed on his phone at 7:21 AM on Monday, June 17th, the morning he disappeared. This shows the red-orange flowery blanket which Ayub Qassim had given to Jay so he could go to sleep. In the video, Jay can be seen holding a cigarette and then filming briefly outside the Airbnb. A report from Spanish authorities reveals that Jay was reported missing at 9 AM on Monday, June 17th. Mountain rescue teams were made aware of his disappearance at 8 PM that night. They said that the information they were given was that when looking for the bus stop, he, Jay, had a fall. They were also told that he was afraid of dying and his phone had no battery. The mountain rescue team said they located Jay's body in the ravine on July 15th. The court is being shown a series of maps to indicate the distance from the Airbnb in Masca to the ravine. Jay's body was found in a dry watercourse. About 8 metres above that, Jay was found with his head facing down the slope. Approximately 20 metres above that was the Armani bag with Jay's phone and various gas canisters inside it. The mountain rescue group said Jay's lack of experience in mountain regions, recklessness, lack of fitness or self-control and lack of equipment all played a part in his death. The weather and loose falling rocks could also have been factors. The mountain rescue teams could not explain why he chose to go down into the ravine. Jay was unfamiliar with the area and the direction he was headed in could have given the impression there was a settlement. The ravine features sheer high cliffs and dense undergrowth. As he had been on the move since the previous day with no rest, his faculties will have been greatly reduced. The area is very rough and unstable with a steep slope and it would be easy to slip on the rocks and fall into the void. Their conclusion was that in their opinion, the death must have occurred as an accidental fall. The fact the bag was 15 to 20 metres above him indicates he was walking at this location when he fell. The post-mortem findings were compatible with a fall from height. The only other plausible explanation is that he thought there was a beach or settlement at the end of the ravine where he could have sought help. We're now hearing from DS Nick Spencer from Lancashire Constabulary. He's in charge of the Digital Investigation Unit. DS Spencer's unit is involved in tracking people through social media. The unit was asked for help in tracing Stephen Rokas. Great Manchester Police and Lancashire Police visited a flat in Manchester. The water bill for this property is in Stephen Rokas' name. His mobile phone also regularly self-sighted in the Manchester area. There was no answer. The court is now hearing about various locations where Jay's phone pinged while in Tenerife. This includes an extremely lengthy and complex colour-coded spreadsheet compiled by Lancashire Police, which shows who Jay spoke to or sent messages to which apps he used, and the mobile phone towers his phone connected to at the relevant time. The spreadsheet shows that at 8:27 AM on the morning Jay disappeared, his phone had just 3% battery. He made an outgoing Snapchat call to Lucy Law, which lasted only 3 seconds. There was then another call to Lucy which lasted 22 seconds. The records then indicated his battery was at 1%. The last ping when Jay's mobile phone logged a data session was at 8:43 AM. The inquest is now ending for the day. The coroner will deliver his summing up tomorrow morning, with proceedings starting at 10 AM. I'll be producing a video later that day, so do expect a video tomorrow evening regarding the coroner's summing up. Many thanks for joining me for this video. I look forward to seeing you all again for the next one. Take care. Cheers.